Today I'm going to bring you a Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight, bring you comics news, and reveal the books I bought this week. How y'all doing? I'm Victor, and you are watching the Comic Hero Show. Now kick that intro! Edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host Victor Nunley, and I am the Comic Hero. The summer of superheroes continues. Now, on this episode, instead of showing some love to some superheroes in the comics, I've decided that I'm going to show some love to some real-life superheroes. On this episode, I'm raising awareness of spinal muscular atrophy. Now, spinal muscular atrophy, or SMA as it's commonly called, is a genetic disorder that starts in the central nervous system and affects all the muscles in the body. Now, due to the degenerative nature of this disease, people with SMA will experience a decline in muscle strength over time, and that varies among individuals who have SMA. Now, it's mostly caused by a deficiency of a motor neuron protein called SMN, which stands for survival motor neuron. Now, this protein is necessary for motor neuron functions. And this is an SMA Comic Hero tee. And inside of the speech bubble, you have the Cure SMA logo. Now, Cure SMA is an organization of activists, doctors, and scientists who are working around the clock to find a cure for this disease. And right here on my left sleeve is the Spinal Muscular Atrophy Awareness Ribbon. Now, SMA is the leading genetic cause of infant deaths. However, I know some young boys and girls who have defied that statistic and are leading extraordinary lives. And this episode is for them and their families, and it's also for anyone else throughout the world who has SMA and their families as well. And this episode is for the families of those who have unfortunately lost their lives to SMA. Now, someone once asked me, why do I like raising awareness of different causes if I don't experience it myself? The answer to that is simple. It shouldn't have to happen to me for it to matter to me. And that's my aim in any cause. And not just here on the show, but in everyday life. Whenever I hear about a cause, I pride myself in not just knowing about it, but also learning about it. You know, we do better when we know better. All right, now I would normally, whenever I would in the opening segment of the show, I would go right into giving away a free T-shirt. But I'm very late doing this episode, so I'm going to give you all the time to answer the free T question of the week. And here's the question: which Fantastic Four villain possesses alchemy? Now I'm going to give the hints again. The first hint is that this villain made his debut in Fantastic Four number 30 in 1964. The second hint, this villain's real name is Esteban Corazon Diablo. And then the third hint, this villain's code name is Spanish for devil. Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in a drawing for a free tee on next week's episode of the show. Now, Shelby McCarty from Calhoun, Louisiana has requested a Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight, and this one features the leader of the Autobots going up against the defender of the universe. Representing IDW, we have Optimus Prime. And representing World of Vince Productions, we have Voltron. These two are going to duke it out in a segment I like to call
the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown.
Welcome to the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Today, it's Optimus Prime versus Voltron. Optimus Prime possesses Cybertronian strength, speed, durability, and healing, is a master hand-to-hand combatant, swordsman, axe combatant, marksman, driver, tactician, leader, flyer, and possesses invincibility. Voltron possesses flight, sentience, dimensional travel, Bayard empowerment, eye lasers, and rocket punch. Who would win? You'd think Voltron would have this fight in a bag, but that's not totally the case. Iron sharpens iron, and you're about to find out why. The Voltron Force gets briefed about Optimus Prime on Galaxy Garrison's base on Earth. Optimus simply arrived there to ask for additional assistance in a war against the Decepticons, but no one knows that. As Voltron descends into attack mode, Optimus quickly finds the Defender of the Universe's weak spots and fires upon them. The Voltron Force quickly separates into Lion mode and circles around the leader of the Autobots. Optimus then says, "Voltron Force, I do not wish you any harm. My name is Optimus Prime, and I am part of a race of alien robots called the Autobots. We are at odds with another race of alien robots called the Decepticons. Their leader is Megatron, and they care about nothing but total annihilation and dominion of life. I am here seeking assistance for a pending war against them." Thinking this is a joke, the Voltron Force attempt to form Voltron once more, but Optimus stops them in their tracks by revealing the Matrix of Leadership and using it on them. Optimus then replies, "You are now part of the family of Autobots. You each possess your own personality and skill set, and will be called Lionbots." The Paladins of the Lions exit their respective lines and ask, "Hey, what about us?" Optimus then replies, "You are the pilots of these lions, yes? I will need your expertise with piloting them in this war. I welcome you and the Galaxy Garrison to the Autobot family." Optimus Prime wins. And that concludes this fight on the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Thank you, Shelby McCarty, for that request, and I hope y'all enjoyed it. I'll have another one for next week, and if you want to make a request, go ahead and do so. So far I have a bevy of them, but I will definitely take more. Alright, now it's time for Comically Speaking, so without further ado, let's talk comics! Alright, there are two things we're going to talk about in this segment of Comically Speaking, and here's the first. Now, it's been reported that some more actors and actresses, and then comics writers and comics artists, are speaking out against DC and Marvel. And the reason that they're doing this is because of lack of pay. This is totally unacceptable. Now, let me come to the defense of the actors and the actresses first. Look, you casted these people. You cast these people to play very hard roles. Now, there's a difference between casting an actor and an actress for a role of just about any movie, but it's even harder for actors and actresses to play the roles of comic book characters. And you knew that when you casted these fine men and women, and sometimes boys and girls, to play these roles, you knew that you were going to have to pay them a lot more than what they would make, in another movie. And for you to not pay them, what's wrong with y'all? Comic book movies are a lot harder to make, and it's not just harder on the writers. It's not just harder on the producers. It's not just harder on directors. It's even harder for the actors and the actresses that play the roles. I mean, to not pay them as much as they need to be paid, that's like buying a pet and not feeding it. Y'all need to do better. Pay these men and women, and don't be bashful, and don't be angry about doing it. I mean, do it with a kind heart. I mean, that's the way that we should live our lives every day, with kind hearts. And so, don't be stingy. Just pay them. All right, now let me come to the defense. Now that I've done that, let me come to the defense of the writers and artists. All you screenwriters who have come up with all these scripts, we all know that y'all use classic story arcs and miniseries as guides for these scripts. We're not stupid. No one is. Let me give y'all some examples of some movies and the story arcs and or the miniseries that they're based on. Captain America: Civil War was loosely based on a Marvel miniseries that ran from 2006 to 2007 called Civil War. Avengers: Infinity War and Avengers: Endgame are both loosely based on a miniseries from the 90s called The Infinity Gauntlet. And then the last season, the previous season of The Flash, season 7, was loosely a lot of it was based on Joshua Williamson's run on the Flash comic series that just ended at the end of last year. I could just go on and on, but those are some examples. So y'all need to pay these writers and artists for their hard work, especially the writers. And if the writers and artists are no longer living, then pay their families. This is pathetic. How dare you not pay these people for their work? For the writers and the artists, sure. It's not to a T, and that you did your own version of it, but you still need to pay them, because without it, you wouldn't have zip. Do the right thing and pay these people. Pay the writers and the artists, and then pay these actors and actresses. And do so with a kind heart. Don't be stingy, and don't get mad. Just do it. Pay these people. All right, now. The second thing that I'm going to talk about on Comically Speaking is that, and this is on a much lighter note than the first subject that I just got finished talking about. Riri Williams will make her Marvel Studios debut in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Now, this is good. I like this move, considering the way that how she made her debut in the comics. Now, she made her debut in one of the worst miniseries I've ever read, and I'm talking about Civil War 2. That was so poorly written, and it exposed a lot of things about Marvel's comics division. It pretty much exposed the truth that they don't pay attention to each other. None of the writers and artists pay attention to what they're doing, and it really showed. And Marvel really needs to do better in that regard. But I'm so glad that that her origin is being told in a much celebrated way. Of course, Riri Williams becomes Ironheart, which is in the comics a superhero name that she's been going through since the beginning. And she came after the death of Tony Stark. Now, it hasn't really been said whether Riri Williams is going to be of Wakandan descent or not, but really love her story. She becomes one of the youngest students ever to be accepted in MIT, and she ends up building an armor, but she ends up getting expelled because some of the armor were leftovers from Stark Industries. But then after saving the world, MIT pretty much goes mea culpa and say, hey, we made a mistake, we would like for you to come back and finish. So yeah, Riri Williams making her debut in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, perfect. Alright, that's it for Comically Speaking. Now let's get to the comics I bought this week.
Comic books I bought this week.
Alright, first up is Batman Catwoman number 6. Catwoman number 34. The Flash number 773. Gamma Flight number 3. Guardians of the Galaxy Annual number 1. Guardians of the Galaxy number 17. Iron Man number 11. Marauders number 23. Shazam number 2. Sinister War number 3. Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow number 3. Way of X number 5. X-Corp number 4. And finally, and I'm so excited about this book, X-Men The Trial of Magneto number 1. Alright, that's 14, which brings the total number of comics I've bought since December of 1997 to 10,858. Alright, well, I hope y'all enjoyed this week's episode. Here's a question again for a free tee for next week's episode of the show. Which Fantastic Four villain possesses alchemy? Now, here are the hints again. The first hint is that this villain made his debut in Fantastic Four number 30 in 1964. The second hint, this villain's real name is Esteban Corazon Diablo. And then the third and final hint, and this is kind of a dead giveaway, especially if you speak Spanish. This villain's code name is Spanish for devil. Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in a drawing for a free tee on next week's episode of the show. Now, speaking of the next episode of the show, I'm going to end the Summer of Superheroes for 2021 by celebrating a birthday. And whose birthday is that? Marvel's birthday. Marvel is Marvel's 82nd birthday. They were founded in 1939 and was founded by Martin Goodman. And over the years, there have been a lot of great superheroes that have come from Marvel, and it even bloomed to its own. They even started out with cartoons, and then later movies, and then TV shows. Marvel is just it. I mean, DC got started before that, but Marvel has done a lot more than DC has, although DC is kind of breathing down their necks right now. Not to mention DC comes out with better comics, or they have over the past few years, but that anyway. But when it comes to anniversaries and birthdays in comics, I love doing this. But you know what I love more? I love raising awareness of different causes, and SMA happens to be one of them. And all the young people that have SMA, and that I personally know, and I'm quite sure they're not the only ones. You know, they may live with SMA, but SMA most definitely doesn't have them. And I want to encourage any man, woman, boy, or girl who's living with SMA. It shouldn't have to have you. Make the best out of your lives, and also to the families. I know that y'all are with them every step of the way, and I want to honor y'all as well. And to all the families of those who are no longer with us due to SMA, my heart goes out to y'all, and I just hope that y'all just hang in there. All right, I'm Victor Nolly on the Comic Hero. I'll see you next time for episode 369. So until then, be safe, be blessed, be a hero.